Okay, I think I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, Malay.
All right.
Yeah,
So
iPad. Yeah.
I can hear you clearly, and I think
Good,
you
good.
can hear
And
me also.
recording will be good. Thank you again.
Yeah, it'll start recording as soon as we log in. So
Okay.
it's okay. We can start the meeting. So I'm just going to introduce you first, Kailash ji, to the group. Welcome you, and then I will start asking my questions. So you ready?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay, let's get started. Namaste. Welcome to the Counselor of Hindu Tradition session, Lifetimes in Karma Yoga. Today, we are very fortunate to have with us Dr. Kailash Joshi, and who is the founder of HCI. Karma Yoga is not a one-size-fits-all. There are so many ways people serve the society, and not everybody may see the need to do certain things. And you cannot really put any parameters around social service, community service, and Karma Yoga. So today's session is all about learning from Dr. Kailash Joshi what makes him serve the society, what makes him pick the causes that he picks, and what is the vision that he sees that the rest of us may or may not see. So let me go ahead by introducing Dr. Kailash Joshi. He is a retired IBM division general manager. He has been engaged in mentoring entrepreneurs and startups in Silicon Valley for a number of years. He has devoted significant time in community causes and charitable work. He is a co-founder of TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs Organization, and also AIF, American India Foundation. And he has helped build half a dozen other public service and educational institutions. Dr. Kailash Joshi holds a BE degree from IISc Bangalore, MS degree from Washington State University, a PhD from Cornell University, and an honorary DSc from Garhwal University, India. He draws great satisfaction from strong connections with extended family members and close friends around the world. Let's welcome Kailash ji. Namaste, Kailash ji, and welcome.
Namaste, and I'm very happy to be here with you, Manglaji.
Okay, thank you. So in this session, we are hoping to learn some things from you. As I mentioned, everybody who does service to the community sees a certain opportunity, and they have a certain motivation, and there is something that drives them to do what they do. So my question to you is, your specialty is actually very unique. For most of us, it's obvious to see somebody who is hungry and feed them, somebody who needs clothing and donate clothing. You, on the other hand, your perspective is very unique. Your specialty is institution building. So can you tell us how exactly did you get started, and what exactly do you see in this institution building purpose?
Yeah, thank you again. Yeah, appreciate that. Kind of a compliment, but yeah, I think I'll be happy to give you a little bit of a feel for how I come to these things. I think the best thing to describe is that there is a need I see as I begin to interact with people. It's always interaction with people, like-minded people who are looking at the world and saying, hey, what can be possible? What is missing? What can make life better for the future? I think those are basically primary kind of a thought process that has driven me and my collaborative work with other people. And that's how we started the Entrepreneurs Organization with TIE or the American India Foundation. Similarly, we did something in India for digital education of children, things like that, which are big picture, big vision, But never mind, imagine that it may take a long time to get there. So I think it's not a short-term gratification of any kind. You just say, okay, have a lot of patience. But the important things to have is a group of other people who believe in this and work with you fundamentally. And so that is really the story of HCI also. Very similar elements came into play for HCI to happen the way it has happened, and hopefully it'll continue to grow for a long, long time.
Yeah, that's very nice to hear, because obviously you use your interactions with people to observe and see things beyond what they're actually telling you in words. And I mean, that's a very unique ability, and we all appreciate that. And of course, HCI, ever since it started a few years ago, has been of a tremendous value in the community. Whether or not people see it right away, we know. We know it is something that's a resource, will be a great resource to the community. So talking about the need, something I have always wondered is, especially with people like you, watching people like you, Indian community in the United States, we are very affluent. We don't necessarily see the need for homelessness and hunger and the typical seva aspect that a lot of people look at. In fact, specifically coming to HCI, a lot of people even wonder, hey, we don't have the same issues that America in general has. So why HCI? I mean, is it really needed for an affluent community, highly educated community like the Indian diaspora? So what do you say to that?
Yeah, I think that's a good perspective, but I could take the contrarian view and say that we need it more. Our HCI mission is more needed for the affluent and the growing population of the Hindus in the diaspora. So I think the first insight we had in our discourse about the needs of the community was that the Indian diaspora is made up of two populations. One is the diaspora population born here with no major links to India. And the second population is the Desi population, which has got strong links in India. They carry the values through this generation. They build temples, they go and do their pujas and all that. But that is not what is the continuity of the future. We came to the conclusion that the growing population of the Hindus is going to be diaspora Hindus, and their needs are going to be different, and their orientation of the Hindu tradition is going to be required to be done at the institutional level by professionals with authentic knowledge and training, and that spiritual care is fundamentally a major need of the community that has not been even talked about, much less addressed. And that, I think, is what brought the whole point home. The need for spiritual care as part of our tradition and needs to be brought up and raised and developed further.
That's very good. In fact, even when I joined, I was a little bit skeptical. I was thinking along the same lines. My son was born here, and I've been in this country more than 40 years. So we definitely see the need for the diaspora to keep up with Indian tradition, culture, and language. But some of the other needs that you expressed, especially with joint families, when we bring our parents, obviously the type of dynamics changes, and the family goes through a lot of ups and downs. And I think what HCI is doing is extremely commendable, which is recognizing exactly those types of situation and serving the entire diaspora, whether you're a 5-year-old child or a 80-year-old person who has come here to live with your children. I think that is extremely valuable and extremely commendable that you have found out and started the HCI for. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that a lot of us wonder in terms of institution building, especially looking at it as a seva or community service. Taking your example, you are highly educated and you obviously have decades of experience in executive management. And it is that type of education and that type of experience which is very highly desirable. I mean, any nonprofit would love to have you, or any for-profit for that matter. I think they would love to, take you in and, get your advice. So, but you do this institution building all as a community service. And that's something that a lot of people don't just understand. So personally, when you build a team for a nonprofit institution like HCI, what exactly do you look for in people in terms of attitude, in terms of skills, and in terms of how they're able to join hands with you?
Yeah, I think the primary elements that turn out to be is some kind of a shared vision, shared opportunity, shared service, some common interest in saying, yeah, I think we need it. Mm-hmm. That is a very strong statement if it comes genuinely from people and say, yeah, you're right. I think this is needed. I think that takes time for people to internalize and do their own due diligence and own exploration before they come to that conclusion, number one. And then second part of it is the shraddha, how they come into, it's kind of a devotion into that, say, yeah, I think I can devote some time, selfless time, my best efforts towards this cause. And those are the two things you need to induce in people. And that comes from, I think, your own belief, your own example of how you approach things, how much you do, how much you contribute yourself, as opposed to telling people what to do, you also do it. So I think it is a combination of those, and you get fortunate to have a core team of people come together. That's what happened to us. You were part of that core team. We all started 5 years ago, and it is now close to 300 people in 8 countries. I mean, it is so that that what you're doing has a lot of value. It is being accepted, it is propagating, it is benefiting people, and it will continue to grow. So forth. So I think that's back to the point you raised about how do you bring like-minded people together? Where do you find them? They just come. So far, all our the Sangha that has been built is fundamentally a word-of-mouth process. We have not gone big advertisements or big television programs or big anything. We have just done word-of-mouth talking and gone across 8 countries already. And so you can imagine if we had a big budget for advertising and going around in television shows, what we would see would be remarkable, actually. So I hope we get there also. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely believe in that. Like I said, I myself was somewhat skeptical when I joined, but you convinced me. Looking at you, you are actually one of my role models, I must say. With the type of work that you have been doing. I've been watching you for many couple of decades, Kailashji. Back when I was working and I was part of the corporate world. So I admire your skills and your tenacity and your vision, basically, to start and build institutions. So coming to that, I'm not sure whether you have experienced some of the highs and lows of institution building. Obviously, the highs are like an institution like HCI. You planted the seeds and it is sprouting and it's growing, and a lot of people are in awe of what HCI is doing. But at the same time, one of the pitfalls of the institution building is people come, people join, and sometime down the road, the whole vision of the organization may change, and they may just go in a direction that you personally don't agree with? Do you walk away? Do you continue to support them? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think I think it's really the saying, okay, you do your best effort and see how things happen. That's the way I kind of look at it. The fundamental thing for longevity of an institution, from what I have learned, is the depth of your bench of leadership. So at any time, you look around and say, okay, who are the key players in this organization who are contributing to it, who are making it happen, who are very interested in growing it. And you need to have, for our current situation, for example, the number in my mind is anywhere from 15 to 20 people. You cannot have all the 300 people in that. It's a 80-20 kind of a phenomena that happens. So if you have, and we are very lucky to have more than 15, 20, by the way, in our leadership bench. People who are managing, people who are teaching, people who are volunteering, all the chaplaincy scholars, all kind of people that are participating in building this institution. So I think that, and within them, there is a general consensus about what we are, where we want to go as a vision and direction. So that means we are not going to get derailed anytime soon. So that is fundamentally point number one. Point number two is that we do need to make sure that there is a succession planning done at every level. So that for every position that we have today, 15, 20 positions, that there is a person identified in case you change, which will happen. People will go on to other things, their interests will change, other circumstances may make them go away, and so on. But you want to maintain the momentum and the direction of the institution. So in that regard, I think we've done a pretty good job in these 5 years of coming to this point. And I'm pretty hopeful that that will continue more so as we go forward.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Obviously, you need a team around you that believes in the same vision that you do.
Yes.
I think it's okay to give 100% of ourselves, but an institution also needs other people to
That's
give
right.
their 100% or more,
Exactly.
particularly when it comes to coming to consensus with a common vision, a common set of goals and objectives. And as a leader, you have done a tremendous job, and you continue to do that. And I think that is one of the reasons all the organizations that you have started have been extremely successful, and I see them even now growing and performing very well, and being very successful in what they've been doing even after many years of that. So along with the same subject, one of the things I mentioned was um, it's very easy to have this instant gratification when you do certain types of seva. For example, we see all homeless people all the time, when we are driving, especially now after the pandemic, post-pandemic effects. A lot of people are homeless. They're standing on the side of the road with a sign, they need money, they need food, they need clothing. Anybody who doesn't have time to volunteer their time with an institution like HCI, it's instant gratification. You pull out your wallet, donate a couple of dollars, and you donate them some clothing, and you're done. But that instant gratification is not necessarily true when it comes to institutions. I think you did make an observation that it takes a long time. So what would be your advice for people to kind of stop looking for instant gratification and think of the bigger vision? What is your advice to us?
I think it all has to boil down to the benefit of what you're doing. You have to be convinced that the vision that you are pursuing and the effort that you are putting your energy into has got a long-term value for this generation and future generations. I think that is the fundamental conviction you need to have. And then you basically say, okay, I have done my bit. It's not going to be done tomorrow. It's going to take the next 20, 25 years, for example. If we can take it step by step forward and look back and say, yeah, we are making progress. And for example, with HCI, we have made some major milestones in the last 5 years through converting into chaplaincy, into fellowships, into going into 8 countries. I mean, these are all significant milestones you can count and feel. And so if the team basically looks and subscribes to those accomplishments same way, then you're on a very, very good track. And so the question of instant gratification for me does not arise because it becomes more of a community gratification, community benefit. I think that's the translation we all have gone through. Our Sangha now does not look at it individually. We all look at the Hindu diaspora of about 30 million people around the world. If we can pull this spiritual care training model off, imagine the impact it's going to have on those plus other non-Hindus, because our spiritual care model is going to be very easily applicable to non-Hindus as well. So I think it's a really big deal in terms of the impact.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Karma yoga is not all about instant gratification. And it is not a one size fits all. And we really can't put any parameters around it. So if you agree with somebody's vision and if you see the value, not today, not tomorrow, maybe even few years down the road, you're saying it is worth investing your time and skills and whatever you have. And that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's very good advice for people to kind of, look at the other side of the coin. It doesn't have to be instant gratification. And in fact, there doesn't have to be any gratification at all. You do because, just because. So I think that is wonderful. I would also like to ask you, another question about institution building, because that is obviously not a cup of tea that a lot of karma yogis want to pursue. Not just because of the skills, but it's also the time and just the attitude and the tenacity to stick with it. So you talked about having a lot of people that join hands with you with a common vision, belief, and all that stuff. But then I'm pretty sure there are times when you encounter some people and your approach to certain things may come across as no nonsense, because obviously you have, as an executive, you have managed thousands of people. And so it is not enough for somebody to have a good intention when they're a team player. What are some of your experiences when it comes to exactly that no nonsense approach that people need to have?
So I think I usually tend to be, I think openness and transparency, I think has to be the basis of any good relationship in an institution as much as in a personal level also. If you maintain transparency and openness, that starts out very positively for you. The second thing, I think you need to look at people and try to empower them as opposed to controlling people. That I think is the biggest pitfall in managing things, managing operations, and people tend to go into the control aspects of things. That is not very constructive. If you empower people, that is a better way of bringing things into cohesion and into alignment. Because that so-and-so has got knowledge, you let them go ahead and make decisions, maybe make a few mistakes here and there. You always can reset. So I think fundamentally those are the kind of techniques, the interpersonal techniques that really help you, just in non-profit as much as in personal life and in business. Maintaining openness, transparency, empowering people, and also celebrating and not taking credit. And that's the biggest problem we have is people get credit and they run away with it. I think the right approach is to, when you get credit, divide it in 10 parts and give it to 10 more people. And it multiplies. It's amazing how credit multiplies in a hurry. You know, when something good happen, you let everybody be part of that that accomplishment. So those are some simple common sense kind of things, but not easy to consistently follow. Yeah.
It's actually wonderful to hear your experiences, Kailash. So I'm sure there are a lot of people that are listening to our conversation right now, and you know, we have many questions that we struggle with. You know, whether this is the right type of thing for me to do, will I be able to use my skills, and in what capacity can I contribute? And if I were to build an institution, you know, what are some of the things I need to know? And I think you have made it very clear about recruiting the right type of people and giving of yourself, really believing in the cause and motivating other people, speaking to the skeptics and making them into believers. And
Yeah.
when they try to, you know, for whatever reason, disagree with you or whatever, bringing them back into the fold and convincing them to continue on. I think those are all extremely important aspects, and it's a very good learning for people struggling with some of those questions. And your comment about being open and not seeking credit and giving credit where it is due, recognizing people, empowering people, enabling them to do what they're good at. Those are such, you know, fundamental things. And personally, to me, those are fundamental qualities of a true karma yogi. You are basically demonstrating that you're not in there for a instant gratification or self-gratification. So you have opened our eyes to a lot of things, and we have learned a lot of things from you. So on behalf of all the listeners and myself, I'd like to thank you so much for spending time with us today. It's wonderful.
And I want to thank you, Manglaji, for a very enlightening discussion. And also, in closing, I also want to say that what HCI is is a roll up of Karma Yoga yogis. You know, I mean, there are 300 in the Sangha, but people on the board, yourself, Mukunji, we have Punitji, Gaurabji, and also Lataji and Anil, people who are participating. You can see their contribution distinctly embedded and imprinted on HCI. Your whole process-minded approach, Gaurabji's all multiple dimensions of contribution he makes, Mukunji's whole background in the spiritual care and human, the compassion, Punitji's, I mean, it's all amazing how the building blocks of HCI, you can identify names of people who have put those bricks in there and made it into a very cohesive institution. And that to me is the most remarkable part of building an institution, to be able to discern individual contributions and allow them to come in freely. So I'm very proud and very happy with that as my kind of a final comment on this discussion. Okay.
Thank you so much, Kailash, for a wonderful session.
Thank you again.
See you
Appreciate
again.
it. Bye.
Bye. Bye.